Hello everyone, and welcome to Crystal Cast Episode 7. This is a show all about everything Sailor Moon. On this episode, we are going to talk about Sailor Moon merchandise, both fan-made and official, a Sailor Moon gaming blog that you can check out, the Sailor Moon Crystal music, the soundtrack is coming out very soon, some wonderful fan art that you guys have sent me. Of course, I will answer your questions, and I will end with the recommended website and video for this week. So, let's get started. As always, an episode guide is down in the description for you to check out, as well as links to everything that I talk about today. So, thank you so much for all of your comments and stories and everything that you guys leave. I love reading them, and I love hearing your opinions on everything that I talk about. So, first and foremost, check out this cute Luna beanie. Isn't this so cute? This was donated to me by the store Lunaria, which sells really cute Sailor Moon merchandise, custom stuff. They sell, of course, these beanies. They have a really cute Totoro one there right now as well. They sell leggings and tops and plushies, accessories, and they just started selling cosplay prints. I was Talina, I think, contacted me and sent me this super adorable Luna beanie. Thank you so much. I love it. It's really like soft, and it fits perfectly, and I love it. So thank you so much for that. And she also sent me some leggings. They're so cute. They're really well made, and it's fan arts. The artist submitted this, and there's other fan art there that they submitted in order to be put onto these leggings to sell, and the same with the tops and things. So I really recommend going and checking out her store. It is xsboutique.storeenvy.com. You can go there to check out Lunaria and check out all the really cute Sailor Moon merchandise that she has in the store. So go check that out, and thank you again, Talia. This is so cute, and I love it so much. It was really kind of you to donate this to me. Thank you so much. Alright, so we are going to move along. Before I move on to merchandise, I wanted to talk briefly about the Sailor Moon Crystal music, since the OST is coming out. The soundtrack CD is coming out next week. I wanted to talk a little bit about the music, simply because I get a lot of requests from you guys to talk about the music in Sailor Moon Crystal. I do talk about the music in Sailor Moon Crystal in my reaction videos. I always comment on how beautiful it is, and they kind of like it's really cranked up. The volume is really loud during like really emotional or really intense scenes, and I think that's so cool. I'm not quite sure what else that you want me to say about it. I mean, like I said, I've already pretty much said that I absolutely love it. One of my favorite aspects of it is that they really added a lot of the, I don't know like if there's a musical term for it, but like the orchestral, like there's like a chorus, like the that's my example, don't ask me to sing, but you know, that kind of beautiful like the vocals that go with it really take it that extra notch up, I think, and it really makes it beautiful, and it makes it legendary, because Sailor Moon is a legendary series, and the music really reflects that, and I love that about it. And we got an official, I guess I'll just move on to merchandise now, because I wanted to mention this in the merchandise section. Of course, the official soundtrack is coming out next week. You can order it from CD Japan. And the official preview video of this CD, previewing the music on it, came out on YouTube. You can check that out on the official Sailor Moon YouTube page. And please go there. It needs way more views than it has. It's amazing. This preview, and it tells you the full list of songs, including songs we have not heard yet, including Chibiusa's theme, or I'm not sure if it's called Chibiusa's theme or Chibi Moon's theme, but things like that are hinting at Sailor Moon R, or the second arc. I'm always going to call it Sailor Moon R. I'm not going to do this Arc 1, Arc 2, Arc 3. It's Sailor Moon R, okay? The Black Moon family. I'm going to call it Sailor Moon R. Deal with it. So you can go check out that official soundtrack preview on YouTube here, and you can go the link in the description to go order the official soundtrack for yourself if you would like to do that. Alright, so, and that is coming out December 24th, I believe. Okay, the next merchandise announcement, not really an announcement, we've known that a Chibi Moon Figuarts figure is coming out. We officially got a full-colored, full background, photoshopped, whatever you want to call it, promotional product photo for the Chibi Moon Figuarts, and she is adorable. Love it so much. I love she has her little curly cues on the side of her head. So adorable. I don't believe there's anywhere to pre-order her yet. But as soon as there is, I will put a link up on Twitter to all the places that you can order her from. But she's cute, so hopefully pre-orders will be coming soon. Alright, next we have the, this was announced, the Sailor Jupiter Pullip doll is gorgeous. This completes Moon and the Inner Senshi plus Princess Serenity, so we now have 6 Sailor Moon Pullip dolls available to order. They are gorgeous, they're expensive, but they're really beautiful, fully posable. They've got these beautiful big heads and you know, actual like doll hair, and they're just beautiful. I love it. We have not seen a picture yet of her in her school uniform. They usually release either an alternate version or a special version that also has the uniform in it, I believe. This is the photo that we've gotten for Jupiter, and she is beautiful. I know some people don't really like these pull-up dolls. They think that they, with their big eyes and their big heads, kind of look a little alien or a little weird. That's a perfectly valid response, I think, but I personally think they're adorable. They're really cute. So again, I don't think there's any place to pre-order her yet, but I will let you know as soon as there is, because she is cute. Alright, I'm going to move on to games. I talked about Sailor Dash and Sailor V game recently. If you missed last episode, Sailor Dash, if you've been playing that, Sailor Mars is now available on Android for Sailor Dash, so go and update your games, and you should be able to unlock Sailor Mars if you have enough stars or points to do so. So go check that out. I say that a lot. Go check that out. The other thing I wanted to say about games is that Theodore Jefferson, the author of The Untold Story of Sailor Moon that is coming out, he has started a gaming blog for Sailor Moon games. He mostly talks about the inside the industry, like how the industry looks at Sailor Moon games and the possibility of there being new Sailor Moon games. Mostly here in the US, he concentrates on the release of both past Sailor Moon games, including I'm gonna grab this just because it's right here, but I know that he had, oh, there's some glare here. This was one of the games that came out in the 90s here in America for Sailor Moon. I know at least the company that Theodore was working at did something involved in the making of this game. I'm going to do a playthrough or a let's play or some kind of thing of this game soon, but it was a game that came out in the 90s, and it's one of the only Sailor Moon games that ever came out here in the US, and it's just kind of like a cute little puzzle it's like an activity game. It's not like an RPG or even like an action game or a fighting game. It's just kind of like little activities you can do, like puzzles, and they tried to make some kind of little action game inside it, but it's really awkward, and it's like this is nostalgia right here. This is pure nostalgia. But anyway, so that's the kind of things that he talks about in this blog, and so go there and check out. You can read about kind of like how Sailor Moon as a franchise would be handled in the gaming industry and things like that. And of course, he'll be writing new articles. You can find that at game.sablewolf.net. If you go to moon.sablewolf.net, that will take you to the page to buy the Incredible Untold Story of Sailor Moon book. If you go to game.sablewolf.net, you will get to this Sailor Moon gaming blog, words, by Theodore. And also very important is he is starting up a campaign to try and get new Sailor Moon games to be made here in America. And he's kind of just in the judging, trying to judge the interest in something like that from the community right now, and what kind of interest there might be in possibly funding something like that, and what kind of games you want to see. Do you want to see an MMO? Do you want to see a fighting game? Do you want to see an RPG? That kind of thing. So you can check out, if you want to go right to the survey, there's links in the blog to the survey, but they're a little hard to find. So if you want to go right to the survey, you can go to sablewolf.net/Magellan.php. I don't know if you need the PHP at the end, but the link is in the description, so go and take the survey. It's super short. It'll take you like not even 5 minutes to fill it out, so that would really help him gauge interest for something like getting a Sailor Moon game made here. And hopefully, if there's any Sailor Moon games made in Japan, hopefully they will be translated and released here. That would be amazing. I know before Sailor Moon Crystal even started, there was an Italian Sailor Moon game made for, I want to say it was for DS, Nintendo DS. I could be wrong about that, but I know there was a Sailor Moon game made for Italy, almost exclusively, and it was really never released anywhere else. I'm not sure why. I don't even remember what it was called, but hopefully if we show that there's interest in the US and even in other parts of the world, hopefully we can get something, at least if another game is made in another country, we can at least get it translated into English so that we can play it too, and hopefully released here. Alright, I'm going to move on now to the fan art section. This is a section that, if you did not watch my last episode, I started last episode because I got some gorgeous, cute, yummy looking Sailor Moon cupcakes from someone. I didn't actually get the cupcakes, I got a picture of the cupcakes, but they were so cute and they were so adorable that I had to share them. So I started a whole fan art section. So thank you so much to everyone who submitted fan art or fan creations. This is not just fan art. You can submit artwork, photoshops, cupcakes, cosplay, food, sculptures, anything, any artwork or any things that you created about Sailor Moon. You can submit them, and maybe I will feature your artwork here. And you can submit them anywhere you want: Twitter, Facebook, wherever, and I'll find it. The first one was amazing. It's actually a set of 4 different photos that were drawn and photoshopped. These were made by FUKURO and Chobitly. You can find, you can follow Chobitly on Twitter at Chobitly. And these are amazing. I think we are all at this point, or the vast majority of us, are shipping the Inner Senshi and the Shitennou. Officially, we have gotten very, very little as far as artwork of them together. We got like kind of like a pencil drawing of Kunzite and Venus, and that's about it. Like, other than what we've seen in the episodes, which is barely anything. It's like them looking at each other. We've got nothing. So a lot of fan art has started to pop up, and this one was submitted to me, and I loved these. These are obviously in the style of the eye catches in between it's like for the commercial break. We've seen Sailor Moon and Tuxedo Kamen, so these are in the same style as that is, but it is with the Shitennou and the Senshi, and I love these. I did an audible gasp and just fell in love with these the moment I saw them. Thank you so much, Chobitly, and someone else also brought these to my attention. But these, as I understand, these were made by FUKURO and Chobitly. So thank you guys so much for submitting these, and thank you for making them. They are amazing. Alright, the second one that I want to share this week is by Stina. This is at C Testana on Twitter, and this is her and a cosplay costume that she made. She tried to recreate the Sailor Moon promotional images, the first Sailor Moon Crystal promotional image that we saw of Sailor Moon holding the Ginzuisho above her head. She has recreated this in cosplay form, and it's really beautiful. You did a fantastic job, and thank you so much for sharing this with me and letting me share it here on Crystalcast. All right, the last one I wanted to share for this week is just really adorable and made me laugh. This is by Shylin. You can find her on Twitter at that Everspeaka, Everspeaka, on Twitter, and it's really cute. I've seen this concept before, and I just loved it because they're so cute. I think there was actually some kind of keychains or something made like this at one point, where it's a cutout of a drawing of Sailor Moon, and when you hold it up, it looks like you're holding her, and she's going, "Put me down," and it's just really adorable, and it made me laugh, and it's really cute. So thank you, Shylin, for submitting that and letting me share it here on Crystalcast. And again, if anybody would like to share any other artwork or creations that you have done, please submit those to my Twitter or my Facebook or anywhere else, my email at AuroraPeachy or AuroraPeachy@gmail.com, and I might feature it. So thank you guys so much for submitting those. All right, moving on. I've been chatting for a while, so let's get to your questions. Okay, I've got a handful of questions this week. Some of these are older, so I apologize if it took me a long time to get to your question. If you've asked one and you don't see it, I might have saved it, so wait until a future episode to see if your question is featured. Okay, so starting off, Katie Cat 14 asks, which Senshi transformation is your favorite? This is one that was submitted quite a while ago, but I wanted to wait until we had actually seen all of the Senshi transformations, and now that we have, because I'm assuming you're asking about Crystal, if so, I would definitely have to say that Venus is my favorite. Pretty much all of the transformations, except for Moon's, really mimicked the 90s transformations, with subtle little differences here and there. But Venus's was probably changed the most, and it was changed for the better. She had ribbons in her original 90s transformation, but I don't think it was as prominent and like shiny as it is in Crystal. And just the way, I love how she like points her pen, and like she like twirls it, and the ribbons like come out of the pen, and she's twirling around with all the ribbons like trailing around her, and it's just beautiful. I mean, I was in awe when I first saw her transformation. Like the others were like, okay, yep, that's their transformation in 3D, whereas Venus's was like this brand new beautiful transformation. So that is definitely my favorite. If you're asking about the 90s anime, my favorite transformation, I've always loved Pluto's. Just her movements in her transformation are very like fluid and pretty, but I really like them all. I don't know if I have like a favorite because I think they're all just they're all beautiful in the 90s anime. Alright, so moving on. I apologize, I'm really hungry right now. Henrique Aguiar asked, which is your favorite attack for each of the inner Senshi, Usagi included, and why do you think Moon Twilight Flash wasn't spoken out loud in Crystal? Okay, so first of all, real quick, why do I think Moon Twilight Flash wasn't spoken out loud in Crystal? Like one person, I've only heard this one place, and it was actually on a comment on one of my reaction videos or Crystal casts. Someone said that they heard that Kotono Mitsuishi, the voice of Usagi, actually has trouble saying the word Twilight. It's a complicated order of characters in Japanese, so I can understand. Like that makes sense to me. I do not know if that's true. I've only heard it in one place ever. But it makes sense actually. It kind of makes sense because they didn't change it to something else, but they didn't remove the attack completely. They didn't change it. She just didn't say the words. So it's the same attack, but she didn't say the words. And there's really no reason for her not to say it, except for something like the Seiyu has trouble saying Twilight. So that actually, I have no idea if that's true, but it actually makes a lot of sense to me. So that's my best guess as to why she never actually said Moon Twilight Flash. As for which is my favorite attack for each of the inner Senshi Usagi included, oh boy. Let's try and get through this quick. Okay. Of course I'm going to 90s anime. Mercury, I would say, Shine Aqua Illusion or Mercury Aqua Rhapsody are both really beautiful. Probably Shine Aqua Illusion is probably my favorite just because I love like the pose that she does, and I like the way she's like she spins very like elegantly, and it's just really pretty. And I think it's the prettiest one of Mercury's attacks, so definitely that. I'm not doing this quick. For Mars, Burning Mandala or Mars Flame Sniper are both really cool. I like both of those. If I had to pick a favorite, I would probably pick Burning Mandala. For Jupiter, I would say probably... Ooh. None of Jupiter's jumps out as being like my definite favorite, but probably Jupiter Oak Evolution would probably be my favorite. Okay, I gotta move on. Venus, I would say Venus Love Me Chain is my favorite. That's always been one of my favorites. And the Outer Senshi only really have one attack. If you want to count their talisman attacks as another attack, I guess that's... But those have different animations, so I guess you can't really choose for the Outer Senshi. I mean, you can, but eh. I've always loved Dead Scream, though. Dead Scream is one of my favorites. As for Sailor Moon... Ooh... gosh, she has so many. For as long as Moon Gorgeous Meditation is, I really think that that one is really pretty. There's rainbows, there's colors, there's kaleidoscope effects. It's really, I think it's unique among her attacks. So probably that one. Okay, I'm gonna move on. Thank you for your question. Next question is from Victoria Foster. I've seen every episode of the original 90s Sailor Moon and all the movies. Do you think that they're going to do movies for each season like they did for the original? Because if they did, that would be totally awesome. And I totally agree that that would be totally awesome to have Sailor Moon Crystal movies. Unfortunately, I seriously doubt that we're going to get movies. The reason is because they are very strictly following the manga. And the manga didn't really have movies. It had specials. It had things that were like movies. The only exception to this, I would say, is they might possibly mimic the S movie with Princess Snow Kaguya and Princess Kaguya. Names are failing me right now, but the S movie was the only movie that was based off of the manga. So I think that it's possible that that would be made into like its separate thing, rather than it being incorporated into the acts. But at the same time, I could be totally wrong about this because my manga knowledge is not extremely solid. So there's a possibility that maybe those is that one act? Is that a couple acts that we get? Slight spoiler alert. Human Luna? I don't know. So I think that is a possibility. I also think that the short stories, there were some short stories that were kind of like outside of the normal flow of acts. You have, Ami-chan no Hatsukoi, you have Casablanca Memory, and things like that haven't been included yet, and those were kind of outside. So I think that it's possible that we could get some of those short stories, maybe if not a movie, as specials, maybe like omakes or special acts. In Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon Crystal, the live action series, we got some special acts. We had an act about Sailor V, and we had an act about Usagi and Mamoru, their wedding. So it's possible, I think, that we could get some special acts that will cover these side stories, but an actual movie, probably not. And movies for each season, I would say definitely not, unfortunately, because that would be really cool. But who knows, they might surprise us. Okay, moving on, and I apologize if I was totally wrong about all the manga stuff. Alright, question from XDVDX41. I am curious to hear your opinion on the monsters of the day. It's sad, they get little to no credit, and some of them are really awesome. Which are your favorite types of monster? Yomas, Cardians, droids, diamonds? I don't know how to say that word, I'm sorry. Daimon, demon. I'm going to say it daimon because that's how they say it in the show. I apologize. Lemurus or phages? Who is your favorite and least favorite for each category? I guess you can count the specials and movies too. I'm not sure if you have mentioned your favorite human-bodied Sailor Moon villains or not. I really love the diamonds the best. There's no way I can tell you my favorite and least favorite because that's just, there's too many to go through. There's none that really stick out as like, oh yeah, this was definitely my favorite one. Basically, it was something that made the filler, you had to have an enemy to fight in the filler episodes, and you couldn't kill off a major villain in every episode in the 90s anime because there was just too many episodes and they had to stall between while the manga acts were being written. So of course, then you get these monsters of the day. And some of them are just crazy. Like, some of them are just like the weirdest things you can possibly think of. And oh my gosh, I mean, there's ones that are like giant fat men, and there's ones that are these crazy girls, and there's ones that are like dolls. They just get absolutely crazy. I've never really been crazy about them as like themselves because a lot of times they're so silly and goofy, and that's just kind of like not something that I'm really into. Like, I don't like clowns, and a lot of them remind me of like clowns just being like goofy. But so I would have to say if I had to choose one, I guess I kind of like the concept of the Cardians the best, actually, which is something that was exclusive to the anime. Because of how they were summoned. Like, they had a deck of cards, and they would pick one out, and that whatever like image was on that card would come to life and be the monster of the day. And so I kind of like that concept the most. The Lemurus were also cool because of the fact that they kind of came out of the dream mirrors, so they were kind of like represented like the nightmares of these people. I'm trying to think of one that I can say like, oh, that one was really cool, that one was my favorite, and I really can't even think of one. There's ones that I really didn't like the baseball one. There's one in Stars that was like the baseball episode, and so they were like, they're just so loud and annoying. I don't know. I'm gonna stop. I'm sorry if I couldn't answer all parts of your question, but yeah. So the Cardians are really cool. I think I like the Lemurus too. Kaiser Dramon asks, I don't know if this could count as a question, but I would really like you to elaborate on this. What are your thoughts regarding Sailor Moon Crystal is again another reboot to Sailor Moon instead of a sequel to Sailor Stars? Are you okay with this? Well, I'm obviously okay with it because I love Sailor Moon Crystal. I'm really happy that Sailor Moon is getting the manga is getting the anime that it deserves, because it didn't have an anime that was faithful to it before. So I'm really, really happy, especially if they do the entire series. That it will finally have a proper version of the anime that is faithful to the manga. Mostly, the changes that it does have are approved by Naoko, so you know that this is a true telling of the story in anime format that I know I've always wanted. Would I rather it have been a sequel to Sailor Stars? Because it's so differently animated and the music is different, the transformations are all new and redone, I'm kind of glad that it's not a sequel to Sailor Stars, because if you were watching the original, and then you suddenly move to the 6th season and it was completely differently animated, it would be very awkward. Even if Sailor Moon Crystal was originally made to be a sequel to Sailor Stars, and they did it in the same style as the 90s anime, so that it wasn't like this drastic change to the art style as a sequel, I still think that the problem would be that it would be extremely difficult to get new fans into it. Because you would basically have to watch all 200 episodes of the original anime in order to even think about watching Crystal and know what was going on. Unless it was this kind of restarting of the story where you didn't have to watch it before, then that would be a little different. But for a lot of those reasons, getting new people into Sailor Moon, especially, I'm glad that it's a reboot. And the thing about Crystal is it's going to be so condensed into possibly 52 or 60 episodes. I know I've said 52 before because there were originally 52 acts to the manga. With the remake of the re-release of the manga, they changed it to 60 acts, I believe. So we might get 60 episodes actually. Because of that, it's going to be a lot more condensed than the original. If I'm talking as if they're assuming that they're going to eventually make the entire series, do the entire manga. I would say that then once they do that, I would be extremely thrilled if they would continue and do something after Stars. Because we've never gotten anything after Stars. Stars is the end of Sailor Moon. If you want to count the additional stories in the musicals, or the additional characters or versions of characters in the live action as continuing the story, that's possible, but it's not a 6th season. We've never gotten a 6th season after Stars. So I'm definitely okay with it being a reboot. I do not prefer that it would have been a continuation, like a 6th season. But I do hope that first of all that they do the entire series, and secondly that we do get more. I think I answered this last week that I don't think we're going to get more because I think Naoko is just done. So unless Toei Animation decides that they are going to write more stories for Sailor Moon, I don't think we're going to get more, unfortunately. But you never know. All right. The last question I have for this week is from Moony Gal. She asks, if Deke never dubbed Sailor Moon and a different company just dubbed it the way Viz is doing it now, how different would the whole franchise be? That is a loaded question. That's a good question. In my opinion, there are separate sections of the fandom. There's the lovers of the original Deke dubs, lovers of the Viz dubs, lovers of Crystal, and fans of every representation or version of Sailor Moon. Would the franchise and fandom be as broad as it is without so many different versions? I think that is a fantastic question. And I think you're absolutely right that there are divides in the fandom. There are people specifically, especially with the original anime, because you have people who are furiously faithful to the Deke dub, and then you have people who are furiously faithful to the Japanese version. That's where I would be. And then you have people who are going to be fans almost exclusively of the Viz dub. So you do kind of have this divide. It's really nice. I really love that the Viz, because of the Viz dub, whether you're a fan of the Viz dub or the original Japanese version, it's going to be very easy for fans to talk to each other about the series. I've always found it difficult to talk to, this is coming out wrong. Like, if I'm furiously faithful to the original Japanese version. I first saw the Deke dub, and I've seen all of the Deke dub, and I was a huge fan of it back in the day. But as far as talking about Sailor Moon, talking about what happens in it, the specifics, I am talking, when I talk about Sailor Moon, I'm talking about the original 90s anime in Japanese. So if I'm talking to someone about Sailor Moon and they're talking about the Deke dub version, sure, it's we can talk to each other about it, but there's going to be differences. If every time someone says Serena and Darian or Rini, I cringe and die a little inside. And that's no offense to anybody who likes that version or anybody who likes those names and those voice actors. That's perfectly fine. The Deke dub is great in and of itself for what it is. But it gives me hesitation to talk to them if they're going to be talking about that version of it. I don't know if this makes sense to anybody else, but that's truly how I feel about it. So I completely agree with you that there is that little bit of a divide in the fandom. And then, of course, that you have people who are just fans of the musicals or fans of the live action or fans of the manga exclusively. And that's perfectly fine. But because there's so many different versions, you do have, I think it's created, that's one reason that it's so big, is that you have someone who likes musicals will say, oh, this is interesting, there's musicals from this anime that's really popular, I'm going to check out the musicals, or I'm going to check out the Sentai, the live action version. So it just serves as a way to get even more different types of people into the fandom, and then, and then they watch different versions. I don't know anyone who is a fan of Sailor Moon who has just seen one version of Sailor Moon. Like, they've seen the 90s anime, but they've never read the manga, they've never seen the musicals, they've never watched the live action, or they've never watched Crystal. I don't know anybody who's just seen one version of Sailor Moon. So that's very interesting. So going back to your original question, if Deke never dubbed Sailor Moon and a different company just dubbed it the way Viz did, how different would it be? I actually think that we owe the Deke dub for getting a lot of people into Sailor Moon who otherwise never would have seen it. I think, especially back in the day, the way cartoons were on TV, I think if you had these weird names like Usagi and Makoto and Mamoru, I think kids, because we were kids when we saw this, would have been very turned off, and it would have been harder for them to understand. Nowadays, there's a lot more of a broad understanding, I think, of different cultures, different names, different languages, so it's not weird to see names like that. I showed my stepdaughter Sailor Moon once. She started watching it. She watched like 6 or 7 episodes of it, but I showed it to her in the original Japanese version, and she never blinked an eye. She never asked, what language is this? Why are they speaking like that? Why is it subtitled? She just accepted it. And it was very cool. It was very cool that she just accepted that. And she wasn't an anime watcher. She was, but she accepted because she knew that there were other cultures and other languages. So she just accepted that this was a cartoon from another culture. And that was really cool. But that's nowadays. I think back in the day, it would have been a lot harder to get people to accept that kind of thing. I'm just guessing. This is just my guess. But I know if I had seen it on TV, it would have been a little more... now, I got into Sailor Moon when I was 13, but I know a lot of people watched it when they were in kindergarten, in first grade, even younger, and I think it would have been maybe harder for them to understand. I could be completely wrong about this, but that's just my opinion. So I do think, I do think it would have been different if back in the day we would have gotten a Viz dub rather than a Deke dub, because Deke really kind of made it more broadly acceptable, especially back in the 90s. So I think we actually have Deke, we owe them a debt of gratitude for that, and I know that we owe them a debt of gratitude for getting a lot of us, myself included, into Sailor Moon in the first place. Alright, that is all the questions I have for this week. Please submit your questions down below. Just type them in the comments, and I will possibly choose your question for answer on the next Crystal Cast. Thank you so much to everybody who has submitted questions. I really appreciate it. Okay, so I will end the show here. Let's wrap up with my recommended video for this week, and that is the fan-made live-action movie Dead Moon Circus. This is, I believe it's a two-parter. I'm going to admit that I'm a very harsh judge of live-action Sailor Moon movies. Most of them are done very, very well. And there's a couple others out there that are incredibly well done. But for some reason, this one held my attention more than any other that I've ever watched. And the craziest thing, especially because of the things that I have mentioned earlier in this episode, they actually use the Deke dub names in this one. And I still was enthralled with it back in the day when I watched it. I watched this a long time ago. It's a couple years old. But it's very, very well done. And it's not, the costumes aren't perfect, the effects aren't perfect. It's clearly fan-made, but something about it just enthralled me. I really loved watching it. And it's very long, and it's very well done, and you have, you know, all the characters. It's based in Super S, of course, because it's a Dead Moon Circus, and has the Amazon Trio and the Amazonas Quartet, and I really don't know what else to say about it, because I really can't tell you what it is about this this fan-made movie that really caught my attention. But I remember that a couple years ago when I watched it, I was really, really impressed by it. I think a combination of just the acting, the casual nature of it, it shows a lot of the girls in just normal situations. I think the other thing is that it started in the middle of a series. It chose Super S to do, and I think a lot of fan-made films start with the base story of Sailor Moon, basically the first episode of Sailor Moon, where Usagi discovers that she's Sailor Moon. It's like, okay, we've seen that story 10,000 times, we don't need to see it again. And bam, this one puts you right in the middle of Super S, the Dead Moon Circus, the Amazon Trio, Amazonas Quartet, all that. So I think that's one of the reasons that it was very, it stood out to me. I could go on and on just rambling about nothing, but I'm going to stop here. So definitely check out Dead Moon Circus if you have some time to watch that. It's very, very well done. Good job, guys. Okay, so the recommended website I'm going to leave you guys with today is SailorMoonCollectibles.com. This site has anything and everything that you want to know about Sailor Moon merchandise, toys, collectibles. Everything is on this site, and it is run by a girl that has probably the biggest Sailor Moon collection ever that I have seen. It dwarfs mine by far. It is she gets all the new merchandise. She does reviews on YouTube. She writes articles. She has a blog. She will tell you how to buy things from Japan through what do you call it, deputy sites. And she will give you links to all the newest merchandise. She does reviews on all of the old merchandise and the new. It's just a great, great resource for Sailor Moon toys and collectibles. So I highly recommend checking that out, especially if you are a collector or looking to start a Sailor Moon collection. Highly, highly recommend that. And it's a beautifully done, beautifully put together website as well. So check that out. Okay. That is all for this week's Crystal Cast. Thank you all so very much for watching. I will talk to you guys next week. I'm really glad I have this little anti-barking device now. Alright guys, I will see you again next week. Please give me a subscribe and a like if you have not done so already, and put down in the comment section anything that you have to talk to me about, tell me your stories, give me your questions, give me your comments. I'm really hungry and my mouth is dry and I can't talk anymore. Alright guys, and check out Lunaria again for the awesome Sailor Moon beanies and leggings and shirts and all that fun stuff. Okay, so all the links are down in the description. Go check it out, and I will talk to you guys next week. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.